säuft dem ganze Welt Shalom. Shabbat säuft dem ganze Welt, Shabbat säuft dem ganze Stadt, Shabbat säuft dem ganze Welt Shalom.
Shabbos, good Shabbos. Shabbos, guys.
Soll sein jeden Shabbos, Shabbos soll sein, Shabbos soll sein. Soll sein jeden Shabbos, Shabbos soll sein, Shabbos soll sein. Shabbos säuft dem ganze Welt, Shabbos säuft dem ganze Stadt, Shabbos säuft dem ganze Welt Shalom. Shabbos säuft dem ganze Welt, Shabbos säuft dem ganze Stadt, Shabbos säuft dem ganze Welt Shalom.
Get Shabbos, everyone. Get Shabbos, Yidden. Get Shabbos. Shabbos, everyone. Get Shabbos. Get Shabbos. Get Shabbos. Shabbos in the synagogue. Shabbos in the Zumagog. Get Shabbos.
Get Shabbos.
So what a Shabbat. As you walk into the synagogue, as you make yourself comfortable in your home, wherever you are, I hope that if you're around the corner, you're on the way. We're going to save a space for you, Roberta. I see you running. So, Roberta, you're on the way, Roberta? We're holding a space for you, Roberta. No, come. Soon. You'll be here soon. I know. Okay. We'll all be here soon. Wherever you are. It's just so happy to see your faces. Elliot, Mishpucha, Daniel, Nancy, Shulamis, holy friends, we are praying for peace this Shabbat. I know that I'm not alone in saying that we come into Shabbat now carrying the need for Shabbat and also the awareness of how much it is not Shabbat in the world right now. But here it's Shabbat. So we hope you'll turn off your phones unless you absolutely need it to find your way to Shabbat. Global Shabbat positioning system. The coordinates are found in your Siddur in the words of our ancestors, Higal and Na, on page 7 and 8. This beautiful poem reminds us each and every time we sing it of how precious a sukkah of peace, a shelter of peace is, and how lucky we are at this moment to have that, and praying for those who don't to be sheltered in some way. Gane, gane, Fros Chaviria Etzuka Suka Shlom
Lechu neranina l'Adonai nari aletzor yeshenu.
Page 9 and 10.
Nekad la'fa'alav betoda ve'zmiru nari alo. Ki el gadol Adonai u'melech gadol al kol Elohim. Asher biyado b'karei haaretz to'afo ha'arim. Arba'im shana akut b'dor va'omar ko'el levavim. Arba'im shana akut b'dor va'omar am to'el levavim. Arba'im shana akut b'dor va'omar am to'el levavim. Arba'im shana akut b'dor va'omar am to'el levavim. U'neranina l'Adonai nari aletzor yeshenu.
Page 11 and 12. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo. Pasum yom leyom yeshuato. Samu v'goyim kevodo v'chol ha'amim niflotav. Ki gadol Adonai u'molad me'od v'nodahu hakol Elohim.
Ki kol Elohei amim elilim v'Adonai shamayim b'tzad. Od v'hadar lefanav Oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho. Amul Adonai mishpechot amim. Amul Adonai kevod va'oz. Amul Adonai kevod shemo. Siu min chavod chatzrotav. Tishtachavu l'Adonai hadrat kodesh. Chilu mipanav kol ha'aretz. Zimru v'goyim Adonai malach. Aftikon tevel v'altikon. Yadirami v'nesharim. Yismechu hashamayim v'tayeret. Hiramayam v'velor.
Yalla Sarai v'chol Hashem. אז ירננו כל עצי יועד.
לפני אדוני קיבה.
איבה לשבות הארץ, ישבות ערב וצדק. וימים באמונתו. Please rise if you're able. Open up, all you images of the divine. Open up to Goddess's beauty and strength. Open up. Goddess, all presence is her name. Bow deeply before the One in the magnificence of this earthly shrine. Hear the voice of the divine, riding on the waters. Her presence thunders the divine one upon the many waves. You may be seated, folks. So I invite you to close your eyes for 2 minutes. As your eyes are gently closed, immediately bringing awareness to your body. No need to find a comfortable position. Awareness is holding you in whatever position you're in. Turning your attention very gently and immediately into the body and your sensations as you sit here this evening. Noticing what you notice as you turn to feel the seat beneath you and maybe the seat rest behind you. Locating sensation in skin, touching clothing or glasses on the rim of your nose, whatever is available to your awareness. Allowing your body to calm your mind. Allowing your awareness of your body, your embodiedness, your sensory data as it is made known to you to calm the mind and your heart. And now bring your full attention to your breath as you feel it coming in and out of your body. Just noticing the quality of your inhale and your exhale. And now actually breathing together, inhaling freely through your nose and exhaling through the mouth. Tonight's poem from Rabbi James Stone Goodman. Relentless nostalgia. I have no relentless nostalgia for the Dnieper River and environs. My progenitors lived all around until they were kicked out or left. The best decision they made for us, their descendants, was to flee the disease of hate that infected the entire area. My antecedents, known by the places' names where they taught, Berdichev, Mejboj, Uman, Koretz, Zhitomir, Zhovka, Belz, my shtetl Belz, became a shol. For my ancestors, they had to leave. They threw Bubby's candlesticks and a few prayer books into a worn suitcase and scrammed. Myself and all who came after me thank them with every breath we take. Because they left, we live. 100+ years later, it took that long for something fresh to rise in that cynical part of our planet, and another diseased megalomaniac with plenty of help from other corruptors poised to prevent the opening of windows onto a suffocating closed box opening on light. Ancient darkness, they have all the problems of a declining civilization and all the attendant dangers of clashing messianisms. There is someone to breathe life into a damaged culture. So when you dream up and send them a good vibration to open up a new box of gems, something free and beautiful. Give them what we can, We are one world and it needs us, all, in our little and big ways. The centerpiece of our Friday evening service, arguably the most famous Jewish liturgical poem next to Kol Nidre, may be written by refugees, those who left Spain, were expelled from Spain, those seeking a home, found their way to the northern part of Israel, to Tzfat, and there a renaissance flourished, blossomed, bloomed, a world where broken pieces could be fixed, a world where trees spoke and animals laughed, a world where Shabbat became personified as a bride and we, the groom, maybe now just the lover, the one who stands at the door waiting for us to receive her, him, them. And so we do it. We stand by the door each and every Shabbat, waiting for that knock that invites us to hospitality. We welcome Shabbat's presence on page 23 and 24, the words of our ancestors. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, Likra
Shabbat Abbas,
Shamor v'zachor
b'diborecha, Ishmi'anu del hamiuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, Shemo tiferet v'letzilo.
Lekrat Shabbat, Refugee Shabbat,
Ki mekor ha'bracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh v'machshava v'chavadoni v'yikra Sing with us. Irme kumitzei, kumit mitoch hafecha. Rav lach shevet, rav lach shevet, be'emek, habacha, uyachamor, Allah yichemna, lekam adoni, v'yikras,
Hitahari, Me'afar Kumi,
Livshi bigdei,
Livshi Bigdei, Tifartecha, Al Yad Ben Ishai, Beit HaLachmi, Korva El Nafshi Ge'Allah.
תדברי. כבוד אדוני עלייך. Reb Daniel Scott. That space where freedom was won, where courage was enacted. We say, come into this space, into this Mishkan, into this tabernacle, into these hearts, into this world, with the greatest possible vessel that you could possibly bring us tonight and any night, which is Boi b'shalom, ateret b'alam, gam b'simcha, ובצהרנה ורק תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה שמת המלכה לך דודי לקראת כאן יננה 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 ונשמה invite you to remain standing as you turn to face Yerushalayim. Moshe Yom Shabbat Olado Ladunay Lezamel Shemil Yona Giva Bakachasnech Lemonatcha Balei Bifrach Ushain Kemo Esav Yatzitzu Kol Polei Aven Lishamdam Ade Ad Ve'atam Arom Le'olam Adonai Hine Oivecha Adonai Hine Oivecha Yovedu Yitpradu Kol Polei Aven Tzadik Hatamar Yishach Ke'erez Balvanon Yizkeh Shesulim Beveis Adonai Bechatzros Eloheinu Yaficho Odi Nevun Beseva Yisheni Rananim Yiyu Lakid Ki Yasha Adonai Tzuri Velo Avla Savo. At this moment, as we are called to the door, we also recognize mourners in our midst who might have been staying outside of this space, suspending their joy just to be able to participate at this moment in this community as they're welcomed into the healing presence of this community. This is the moment in our prayers where we offer up on Friday night our yearnings for those who are in need of healing to be healed tonight. You can find these words on page 113 and the names of loved ones who we're praying for. If you have loved ones in your own heart, please place them in the chat area. If you are on the Zoom or here in the space, you can call them out as well. As we pray for all of those who are broken in heart, body, mind, and spirit.
Healer of broken hearted, binder of their wound, counter of uncountable stars. You know who we are.
הרופא לשבורי לב ומחבש לעצבותיו מונה מסבר לכוכבים לכולם שמות יגרע
bring healing to body, to heart, to mind, to spirit, to our broken world, to our broken friends, family, acquaintances, all of those who need healing tonight. Let there be refuah. Let it be refuah shlema. You may be seated, everyone. A couple of Shabbos, everybody. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
We are, of course, looking forward to saying hello to anybody who might be here for the first time, either here in our space or in our virtual community, our Zoom community. A couple of very brief announcements just to let you know what's going on. For your sake. It's for your sake. We're letting you know what's going on. It's a good thing. Lots of stuff's going on. Thank you, Anna. Purim. Misha, 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 Nechnas Adam. Misha, 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 Nechnas Adam. Misha, Nechnas Adam. kinds of things are happening. Purim, on-site, online, lots happening. The evening, Megillah reading is going to be happening on March 16th. Masks are optional.
Wow.
Unless it's a Purim mask, and then it's mandatory. We're going to be here. There's going to be an incredible lineup on that evening. Not only is there going to be, the Megillah reading, of course, but also we have a remarkable spiel this year. The spiel is basically our playwright Rich Orloff. There he is. Rich is there he is, and musical directors, and it's going to be incredible. I mean, maybe the best spiel ever, Rich. That's the word on the street is that it might be the best spiel ever. No pressure whatsoever, none whatsoever. Best spiel ever coming your way. So that is going to be here. Also, bring your own BYOC, bring your own cookies, or BYOH, bring your own hamantashen. There's going to be favorite cookies, no need to bake them, bring them homemade or store-bought. There's going to be a little bake-off here, and also there's going to be, it should be a dance party, friends. There's going to be, across the street, there's going to be a dance party as well. And online, we didn't forget about our friends in the virtual space. There's going to be, a virtual toast with the global Romemu members, all kinds of good things. After the spiel, we're going to invite you all to do that as well. And then come back the next morning. Morning minyan will happen at 7:30 with the Megillah reading, 8:30 rather, with the Megillah reading immediately following that, and a sponsored Kiddush. I'm sponsoring Kiddush for everybody to come on Purim morning. I want to see folks. I want to make a l'chaim on Thursday morning, the 17th. We're going to read the whole Megillah. It's going to happen. And it's really happening. And then also there's going to be family celebrations. Grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, bring your favorite kids. Start your Purim thing. It's going to be happening, friends. It's all good. So that's happening. That's our slides. And then Purim cooking with Vered Gutman, a continued program with the Roma Brooklyn community, and parenting on a prayer workshop, which we've spoken quite a bit about this. That's also happening. You can do the next slide. Those who don't know about it, please tell your friends about it. And sponsorships. We want to thank our online sponsorships for this weekend. The Open Book is being sponsored for the month of March by Richard Gedoldig in honor of his father, Irving Gedoldig, Shmuel ben David Velea. And online components of our morning services are being sponsored by Judy Gottlieb in honor of her husband, Neil Brodsky's 70th birthday. Happy birthday, Neil. Happy birthday, Carol Foreman, also today. Oh, it's happening here, folks. It is. It's on. I mean, come on. We're back. Here we go. And what else? Anything else? Parshat Pekudei. This is, of course, the Shabbos. We'll speak about this a bit more in a little while, in about a half an hour. Open book tomorrow morning at 8:45, followed by services at 10 a.m. And again, it is Refugee Shabbat. The Shabbat is sponsored by HIAS, and so that's around the country as well, and so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Anybody here for the first time in our space that would like to say hello? Anybody? Anybody want to say hi? So let's model this for you. Jeffrey, why don't you model what it's like to say hello? I see people, don't worry. Jeff, show us what it's like. You're going to get up. You're the first time here, Jeff. Show everybody what it's like. Go ahead. You're going to lower your mask if you feel comfortable. All right, Jeffrey, and then and then everybody, here's how it's going to roll. Then I'm going to repeat that for all of our Zumagog people instead of passing the microphone around, so that's why I need to hear you enunciate and clear it. So here we are. Jeff Kahn, nice to have you here for the first time. It's amazing. You're the executive director of our synagogue, and it's your first time. Way to step in. Way to step in. Anybody else here for the first time? Hi. And where are you from, Rachel?
I'm now on 86 in Amsterdam. I was in Jersey City.
Okay, Rachel's here from 86 in Amsterdam, used to be from Jersey City. Well done, Rachel. Thank you so much. We're happy to have you. Yeah, hi.
Hi. I'm Alice, and I'm from Falmouth, Maine.
Alice from
Falmouth, Maine.
Maine. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice to have you. North, I got it. It's north over there. I got it. Thank you so much. North. That was good. North. Anybody else? Hi.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and I'm from Berkeley,
Hi, Michelle. Welcome. Yeah, it's so great to have you from Berkeley, California. Welcome. Let's see anybody else. I'm going to go to the Zoom area, see if there's anybody from the Zoom. By the way, Felice, Alex, I saw your parents. We ran into your parents, Alex Holt, on Broadway. Yeah, it was great. Good to see them last Sunday night. Who's here from Denver? Eileen here from Denver. We miss you. You're not here for the first time, Eileen, but always good. David's mic is very low, says Dvorah Tolushkin. So is my mic too low? I don't know. Okay, maybe for them. Dvorah, we're gonna lift it up. Sending love, of course, to the Ukraine and President Zelensky. We're going to pray for that in a moment. Specifically, all of that happening here in our chat area. Nina's here. Nina Ross is from Santa Fe, but not here for the first time, but maybe the first time in the chat area. I'm going to make my way around the Zoom space here and look at folks and just call them out. And you guys here in the space, why don't you stand up if you feel called to and say hello to one another. That would be awesome. Just say hello, good Shabbos to each other.
Shabbos. I know. Oh my goodness. It's people.
Shabbos to Cami and Bob and Louisa. Shabbos, Jane, Asha Chaim. The Toronto contingent, Rabbeinu Jay, Yair, Iva, Stephen Rudan, Leslie Lewis, we miss you. And Pam, Pearl, Sharon Buckman, Amy, Ramit, Jeff, Judy, Oren, Brother Ken, Jonathan, Rabbi Zimet, Shabbos to Rachelea, to Willie, Good Shabbos, Scott, Shabbos, Ilana, Deborah, and Joni. Good Shabbos, good to see you. Shabbos, Elliot, good Shabbos, Bracha. Shabbos, Miriam, Margot, Harriet. Shabbos, Beth. My friend Beth, good Shabbos to you. Shabbos, Abby, and Keith. Robin and John. Shabbos, Becca. And Susan, good Shabbos. Sonia. Rabbi Dale, good Shabbos. Darius, good Shabbos. Shabbos. Bob and Emily, good Shabbos. Judy, good Shabbos. From David. Siegman, for Shlema. Good Shabbos, Judith. Shabbos. Aluma, Sarah. Karen Rokard, Shabbos. Hey, oh, oh, hey, hey, oh, oh, hey. Nine, 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 nine. Hey, na, na, na. Hey, na, na. Hey, na, 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 na. Hey, na, 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 na. Hey, na, na. Hey, na, na. Hey, oh. Oh, hey. Hey, oh. Oh, hey. A prayer for democracy everywhere. A prayer for democracy everywhere. with Ukraine foremost in our minds. Ta'aker rodanut v'tironia ve'aritzut. May you tear out autocracy and tyranny and despotism. U'tishaber rima'im utmager oshkei nidkaim. Ruin those who cheat and deceive, and break those who oppress the vulnerable. Tavir memshalat zadon min haaretz v'tachshil pog'im b'demokratya. Tafer tachbilutam, techalem v'tashbilem v'tachni'em b'mhira b'yameinu. Make the reign of the arrogant disappear from all lands, and may those who attack democracies everywhere stumble and fail. May their plans be as naught. Stop them, humble them, bring on their downfall soon in our days. Titein lechol umot olam hakoach v'haratzon lirdof tzedek u'levakesh shalom ka'aguda achat. May you give to all peoples strength and will to pursue righteousness and uproot violence, and to seek peace as a unified force. La'akor chamas u'latzmiach refuah l'chaim tovim v'shalom. Make healing, good life, and peace flourish throughout the world, and may God protect Vladimir Zelensky and let his country triumph over Russian imperialism. May we see a day where we beat swords into plowshares, rifles and artillery into that which houses the homeless and feeds the hungry. Baruchu et Adonai ha-mevorach.
Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach le'olam
You may be seated. Page 33 and 34. Oh, מחליפה לזמנים הטובים. We bless impermanence. We bless that which shifts. All the surprises that Adar brings our way. May day turn to night and night turn to day. May that which is painful to be turned into joy, sorrow into laughter. Inna chaya v'kayemet, tamid timlach aleinu. Oh, לעולם ועד רוחה עד שכינה אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת, תורה מצוות חוקים משפטים, נתן לי מה תקין, יא אלוהינו שוכבים מקומנו בזה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. אהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעול עמים. אתה as we bring our tzitziot together in our heart, mind, as we bring ourselves together from all the places that we have been this week or even in this last moment, we recognize that beneath the surface of all divisions and we recognize at this moment as we are called to chant the 6 words that our ancestors have lived and died for, that our ancestors lived and died for, that we are privileged to listen deeply. We are privileged that in the safety of this sanctuary, this exercise is an exercise only. In the case of an emergency, should we have to find the emergency exit, should we have to find ourselves in a position where we are called upon to call out this sacred formula, our ultimate value, our ultimate expression, that despite all appearances, we are one. That what happens to one happens to all. And so as we prepare ourselves now, we unite ourselves across this living, breathing organism that we share with our fellow creatures, with our green friends, with our blue friends, with all of those who live in vastly different lands and different cultures and civilizations, all of us sharing the same Mother, the Earth. All of us together at this moment, our ancestors with us. Shema. On page 39 and 40.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך
והיו
הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך
היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשכנך בביתך ולכתך בדרך, ובשלומך ובקומך,
וקשרתם לאות
על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וטפת על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ביום שמות תשמעו. Continue the second paragraph of the Shema, page 41, and the third paragraph of the Shema, page 43. סבתם למזוזות ביצה ושאר למעני וינכם יום אדוני משה דגמוד אביהם לישראל ואתה לרצו ציצי והקדיהם לדורו סונת בנות איתי מה בסדר חלץ על הציצי ואיסם מוסו זכרתי מצכל מצוות אדוני וסיסם מוסו דמנתי סגרו וסיסם את כל מצוותיי ואיסם קדושים לכם אני אדוני לכם אשר צייסי אסכם מארץ מצרים יוס לכם לדוגים Adonai Elohechem Emet 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 Emuna kozo v'kam l'kiyodon Elohim Hagi b'yavasokun Malchus v'ratzon, קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירם. ושמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם. In the middle of page 47 and 48. בי חמוך. As we prepare for Hashkivenu on page 49. Please sing with us as we pray for the children everywhere, and especially in the shelters, in the subways, holding parents' hands on trains as they run. May God guard over all of them. Ashkivenu. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu
Shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shelomecha v'takninu עצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו למען שמך והושיענו למען שמך.
Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom aleinu Ve'al kol amo Yisrael Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel Ve'al Yerushalayim. Please rise if you're able. V'shamra, page 51. V'shamenu b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat
לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ובני ישראל אותי לעולם. ששת ימים
עשה אדוני את השמיים הארץ וביום השביעי שובס. חצי קדיש on page 52.
ויתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה וילמד יברך ניבותי וימלך מלכותי בחייכנו וביומך ובחייך בית ישראל בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן.
יש שמי רבה מבורך
לעולם לימי עלמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה וכולי למין כובד חסה ושיר עשה קוש וחסה ונחם עשה ימירון מעולמה and let us say Amidah can be found on page 53, a number of different options as you stand together, all of us, if you're able, in silent reflection, meditation, and prayer.
Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose flame is imprisoned lightning. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch whose name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hat glides worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient land your storied pomp, cried she with silent lips. Ah, keep ancient lands your story pomp, cried her with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to be free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shores, send these your homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to be free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shores, send these your toughest tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Said, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to be free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these your hopeless tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Every week, for centuries, we've turned to the weekly wisdom provided by Torah to instruct and lead us to the holy, to the life that God expects us to live. However, it's not only the content of each portion, the stories, the commandments, and the events that have provided clues to the life well lived. It's not only those things that have given us our way in to the guidance that the Torah provides. For those who read the Torah the way a good cook uses each part of an animal to make a sumptuous meal, everything in Torah teaches us, everything. Everything in Torah teaches us Torah. Lessons can be learned from the shapes of letters, from ellipses in the text, from extra words. Even the names chosen for each one of the parshiot are Torah. The name of a given Torah portion, often the first significant word in the intentional division of the Torah by the rabbis into weekly portions, signals an energy, an insight, a highlight, a theme, a directive, an essence. HIAS teaches us about the life of Sarah. Noah, the name of the parsha, where Noah, of course, is the human in whom hopes were placed, the story of the flood. Vayakel, last week's Torah portion, which means to gather, the significance of community. This week's Torah portion is called Pekudei. In the regular Torah cycle, it's often read together with the previous parsha as a double portion, Vayakel Pekudei. But given that this year is a leap year, one that happens 7 years out of 19, we extend those two portions into their own week. Last week was Vayakel, and this week, Pekudei. As it stands alone, it invites us into a closer reading of the meaning of the name chosen for the parsha, Pekudei. The root of the word Pekudei, Pei, Kuf Daled, Pakad, has many varied meanings and connotations: to appoint, to attend to muster, to number, to reckon, to visit, to punish, to remember, to look after, to care for, to lay upon as a charge, to give as a deposit, to review, to entrust. That's just a portion of the possible meanings of that root. Our portion will begin with these three words: Eila, these, Pekudei, the Pekudei, Hamishkan, of the tabernacle. These are the Pekudei of the tabernacle. In its usage here, it means, here's a list of the things that make up the tabernacle. Pekud in the tabernacle's context means it's functional. Pakad means to be chosen. It's to have a deployment. Pakad, in this context of the tabernacle, the final portion of the book of Exodus and the final portion about the tabernacle project begins with a list of all of the details that go into building a tabernacle. Anybody here who's had a building project knows the Excel spreadsheets are long. There's list upon list upon list. Project managers know there are a lot of pikudim, a lot of things that have to be checked off. But like all things in Torah, intertextual resonance matters. Our Torah is not only one space, only one word, but the cross-reference of one word gives us a deeper meaning of the word here by knowing what it means in other places. And I've already mentioned a couple of the meanings, but let's look at a couple here that might expand what Pekudei HaMishkan might mean. And this is the Pekudei of this tabernacle. The most famous usage of the word pakad probably is in chapter 21 of the book of Genesis. It's famous because even though it appears only once in the Torah, we read it twice. And boy, do we read it on an important day, on Rosh Hashanah itself. The Torah reading of the new year every year begins with these famous words, V'Adonai pakad et Sarah kasher amar. And God pakad Sarah as God had promised. The verse in chapter 21 of the book of Genesis means pakad as remembrance. That which might have been forgotten, a promise, an oath, a pledge that might be somewhere buried in the annals of your own personal or our collective history has been remembered. And its remembrance too signals that the promise that was given by those who promise is worth it. God's remembrance in chapter 21, given as it is to Sarah, who was waiting for the birth of a child like nothing else, was itself a relief. Hope that had been lost was now returned. And it comes and signals on Rosh Hashanah to us when we come to the end of the year that hope's not lost, it springs eternal. A promise will be remembered, and rebirth is possible. The second usage of the word pakad is in the story of Joseph. When Joseph dies, before he dies, he says to the brothers, I want to make you swear, a promise that when God will remember you and this people, that you will bring my bones with you when you leave Egypt. Pakod yifkod Elohim etchem, v'halitem et atmotai mize idchem. Joseph says to his family, don't leave me behind. Pakod yifkod, God will remember, but more importantly, God will redeem you. There is a promise of freedom, of liberation, of escape. And lastly, at least for tonight, A very, very well-known song as I was growing up was Al Chomotayach Yerushalayim Hifkadedi Shomrim Kol Hayom V'Chol Halayla. The psalmist says, on you, Jerusalem, on your walls, Hifkadeti, I have appointed, I have put and placed, I have deployed Shomrim, guardians, day and night. In this usage, Pekidah is like a deployment. It specifically signals a task or a job to be done. In modern Israeli Hebrew, a mifaked is the one who gives orders in the army. Hafkadati means I've placed guards there. They have orders to guard the city walls. It's with that in mind that I'd like to imagine that Ele Pikudei Mishkan, these are the Pikudei, these are the something of the Mishkan, speaks to each of these moments in the context of what a tabernacle is supposed to be. The tabernacle, as we've been taught, is the world. And the world has been given to us as a place where we are called to remember our promises, a place where we are called to honor our commitments, to not leave the Josephs of the world behind, that when we ourselves leave places of bondage and slavery and suffering, we bring its essence with us, we bring the bones with them, we leave nothing behind to appoint guardians, those who watch over and protect. That's what tabernacle work is. Ele Pekudei Mishkan, the name of the final portion that deals with the tabernacle, is to tell us the tabernacle is Pekudei. To build a tabernacle, a sanctuary in this world, to build the world is to be deployed as a guardian. To build a sanctuary in this world is to be someone who doesn't forget one's promises, small and large, and someone who is mindful of what needs to be extracted and brought forward as we leave places of narrowness and pain. All tabernacle work is pakad work. Pekudei is what Mishkaning is all about. The Mishkan, the tabernacle, it comes to us in the immediate aftermath of standing at Sinai, at that moment of theophanous ecstasy. We're seeing God. It's remarkable. And the Torah gives us the tabernacle as if to say to us that revelation at Sinai is an abstraction if you don't bring it down into this world, right here. We Jews were once a powerless people. We were on the run and we felt helpless. We arrived at Sinai. We were elevated to those prophetic heights. And the Mishkan comes here to tell us that the telos of that theophany is not there, but here on Mother Earth, where the rubber of spiritual attunement meets the road of practical implementation, day-to-day discussions and decisions that represent the real moral litmus test of how deep is your Sinai. Every day is Sinai for those who build the Mishkan. And every day is the creation of the world for those who know what pakad means. We've learned this many times in our history. We have learned what it is to forget and then to remember. We know what it is to be at the other end of those who have forgotten and have not yet remembered. Having left slavery, we, the free slaves who knew degradation and indignity, remember to treat each and every human being as a child of God. That is our tafkid. That is our purpose in existence. When the sages name that the last portion of the book that began with our ancestors in the land of Egypt as slaves, as strangers, as gerim, as refugees in a land that wasn't theirs, when they name the last portion of the book that began that way, enveloping it with Mishkan, it was to teach us that the purpose of Mishkaning in the world is to make sure that no one else feels the way that we felt when we were in Egypt. That is the purpose of this Mishkan. That we, a people who wandered, we, a people who were homeless, we know in our bones that experience. Maybe that's why our ultimate sanctuary in the desert itself was not permanent. It itself moved with us as we refugeed through the desert itself. Everywhere we went, we remembered what it was to leave Egypt. We remembered that just as we are on the run, there were others that will also be on the run. And we are to make a mishkan for them. Make a mishkan for them. We know, as Rabbi Jonathan Sachs wrote, that we know the heart of the stranger because we were once strangers in that land of Egypt. If you are human, so is she. If she is less than human, so are you. You must fight the hatred in your heart as I, God, once fought the greatest ruler and the strongest empire in the ancient world on your behalf. I made you into the world's archetypal stranger so that you would fight for the rights of strangers, for your own and those of others, wherever they are, whomever they are, whatever the color of their skin or the nature of their culture, because though they are not in your image, says God, they are nonetheless in mine. There is only one reply strong enough to answer the question, why should I not hate the stranger? Because the stranger is me. As we look out all week, over the last week and the week before, 2 weeks now, a Jew who was a comedian in the month of Adar, in the month of comedy and reversals and strangeness and the surreal. The grandson of the only survivor of 4 sons who perished in the Holocaust, leading a burgeoning democracy. It's impossible not to feel, all of us, the desecration of God's Mishkan, the desecration of God's tabernacle, the desecration of all that is holy. It's hard. Ele pekudei Mishkan. These are the accountings of the Mishkan. These are the rules of engagement. You are deployed, each and every one of us is deployed to guard that space, to guard that inviolate truth that each and every human being is created with inherent dignity and is deserving of that dignity. We are enjoined to remember, as God reminded us in the story of Sarah, that a new world is possible tomorrow, and that to lose hope in that possibility is itself antithetical to our tradition. That itself is heresy. Pakod means Vadonai pakadet Sarah, and God remembered Sarah, meaning each and every one of us should remember that birth is always possible, and not to give up hope. We can't give up hope. And to remember Joseph's oath. God will remember you, but will you remember me, Joseph said. God will remember you, but will you remember me? Just yesterday, a friend sent me a video of a rabbi in Uman, Rabbi Raphael Krukel, I think his name is, an Israeli who was living in Uman, which for many of you here who know a little bit about Chassidut, knows that Uman is where the great-grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Nachman of Breslev, is buried, Rav Nachman of Uman. And every year, thousands of Jews descend upon Uman in Rosh Hashanah to remember Rav Nachman and to get blessings from his grave. There's a whole industry there. There are 600 Jews who live in the area. And about a week before the Russian invasion, this rabbi realized that things were looking bad. He kind of learns from Jewish history, not from the news, what could happen. And so he backed up all of his belongings. And I neglected to mention what he does. He's living in Uman. He's the head of an orphanage there. So they began their trek very shortly after the invasion began. They started leaving, gathering all of the children and all the staff onto buses. You can read about this in Yair Rosenberg's blog on The Atlantic. And they stopped at a gas station on a Friday night. And they had a purpose stopping there. It was Friday night, it was Shabbos, but they were moving because it was Pikuach Nefesh. You're allowed to violate Shabbat for the sake of life itself. But they stopped at the gas station, and this is what they did.
ויחל אלוהים בהם אשים מלאכתו אשר עושו וישפוט בהם אשים מכל מלאכתו אשר עושו ויבורך אליהם אשים השביעי ויקדש עשוי כי בו ישובס מכל מלאכתו אשר בורו אלוהים לעשויס סברי בורונו ורבונו ורבו ישי ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בוירי פרי הגופן ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורוצו בנו שבת קודשי בעבור ורוצי ממחילנו זיכרוי למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילו למקרואי קודש זכר לציאס מצרים כי בנו בחרתו ויסונו קידשתו מכל העמים בשבת קודשך בעבור ורוצי נחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת
אלה פקודי המשכן. This is the Pekudei HaMishkan. This is what we do. This is what it is to build a Mishkan in the world, to make Kiddush in a gas station, to remind the world that creation is for all of God's children, to remind the world that the Pekudim, that we are all deployed for the sake of love in the world. On the run, in the desert, in between, that's what we do. That's what it is to remember that you were strangers once in a land not your own. You know that. Model that. Model what it is to create and open your homes to that which is strange. Model what it is to be a survivor. Model what it is to be fearless in the face of hatred. Who better than us as the Jewish people know what it is to neutralize hatred? Who better than us knows what it is to need someone to open up the door and then to say, okay, we'll open up the door? It's such a moment of pride seeing something like that, to say, wow, and to galvanize us as a community, as we've seen the response of our community and the response of all of those who have wanted to help. Eile Pekudei HaMishkan. All of life is tabernacle work, and each of us has been deployed to do it. May God bless us with taking actions to help the refugees. May God bless us with changing hearts and minds to see the refugees and to know that they are us and we are them. Please rise.
השב אותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים.
והשב אותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני hu Elohim.
השבותה אל לבביך, כי הוויה היא האלוהים
אינו מלבדו, אינו אפס זולתו, אינו מלבדו, אינו אפס זולתו.
ונאמר
היה אדוני למלך על כל ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו Please remain standing if you are remembering a loved one this evening. Invite you in the chat area to place the names of loved ones as well. If you're remembering a loved one, please, if you wouldn't mind saying the name of that loved one out loud so we can hear it at this moment. So, Iva, Richard, Cal, yeah.
Outside of my father, Martin Foreman.
Ron. Beula Tishelman, and those who are being remembered as well on the screen. Carrie Barkus, Marvin Arnold Bloom, Shmuley Ben Asher Shifra. Please rise if it is your custom to stand for the mourners. Mourners Kaddish can be found on page 115, 116, and on the screen in front of you. Yiskadal v'yiskada shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'alma divrachi rusei v'yamlich machusei. V'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. V'agala u'bizman kori v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivorach. Yalam me'almaya yidbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu. V'yilam mirkol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'oma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlom ha'rabah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imiru, Amen. Yehi zichram baruch. May their memory be a blessing. We invite you to please remain standing as we make Kiddush tonight, remembering the Kiddush that we just heard. Thank you. Into this cup of blessing. Big yasher koach to our davening team, to Luke Wagadny and to Chazan Basi Schechter. To Nate Harrington, thank you at Full Stack, and to our team here, Anna online, and Jeff here, Ryan, Victor, Justin Jr., and Freddie. Once again, tomorrow morning at 8:45, our open book. All of those who are in this community or local, just an announcement. Next week, there won't be masks mandated here in our synagogue. This is officially the last Shabbat for hopefully for a long time, where we are. Where we won't be wearing masks, at least we don't force you to. You're, of course, always allowed to, and it'll be great to be able to see people's faces again, won't it? I just want to say to those who are, again, I'll say this, I think I'll say this for a long time. If you are local to this community, meaning if you used to come to the shul and you're not worried about being with people, please come. If you're not coming because it's easier to Zoom, please come. It's been 2 years. And being together is not exactly like being in a Zoom room. And we're so happy that Zoom has allowed our community to expand to places where it might never have, and to reach people it might never have. But allow me to say this tonight and tomorrow and every Shabbos from now for a while. It's nothing like having you here. And soon we'll be having events in the space across the street. We'll be having dinners and things like that. Please join us if you can. It's a privilege to be able to be here in person. And if you are able, please avail yourself of that privilege. I know that many people who can't be here would love to. So please, that wasn't Jewish guilt. I hope that wasn't Jewish guilt. Just a little, right. A little bit is just a spoonful of guilt helps the medicine go down. So it helps. Savri, everybody, vayir vayivoket. Yom HaShishi, vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz. וכל צבאם ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פני הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו מצוותיו ורצוונו ושבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה ולישיס כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר יציאת מצרים כי הבנו אחרתה ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים לשבת באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Heilige Shabbos, Tayere Shabbos. Sag shoy, Kinderach, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Heilige Shabbos, Tayere Shabbos. Sag shoy, Kinderach, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Heilige Shabbos, Tayere Shabbos. Sag shoy, Kinderach, good Shabbos. Sag shoy, Kinderach, good Shabbos. Sag shoy, Kinderach, 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 sag shoy, Kinderach. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos to you. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Shabbos, sing together. Heilige Shabbos, Heilige Shabbos, Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos.
good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Yeah? It's like it's been a crazy 2 years. Yeah. Right.
Hello, everyone.
Shabbos.
How did you do that?
I think
You
they
go very close. Go very close.
he does. That was him.